Today, we are going to be talking Strymon. Delays.
Yo.
Stay tuned. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee.
And I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and like our videos. If you'd like to support the channel, visit our Teespring store linked below for our custom designed t-shirts. You can also head to our website at alamomusic.com and go over to the Strymon page and buy yourself some pedals. And that's what we're talking about today. Strymon delays.
We got Strymon.
Delays. We got Strymon. We've been fans for a while. We've been wanting to carry Strymon for a while, and so we are very glad to have Strymon in-house and to bring some educational videos for you on these wonderful, wonderful pedals.
Yeah.
I have this one already.
I have this one already. This is mine. That's why it's dirty. All the other ones are clean.
They don't come out of the box like that.
It doesn't have poorly placed Velcro when you buy it. You have to do that yourself.
So if you are not familiar with Strymon, I would say they are, like most pedal builders, mad scientists. Mm-hmm. These guys are mad scientists that have like astrophysics degrees. Like the stuff they come up with and the extent to their engineering that goes into these pedals is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
And what I love that we're doing today is we are talking specifically about delays because I love delay. That's probably my favorite effect that I have on any guitar.
Yeah, it's it's so cool. It's got such a long history in, rock and roll and every genre that you can think of. But they take a effect that's been around for quite a long time and make it something new and inspirational and special,
Yeah. And what's great about the way Strymon approaches so many of their effects is I think they tend to be informed by historical things, historical tremolos, historical reverbs, historical delays that we're familiar with in music, find a way to very faithfully capture that with very powerful DSP processing and digital pedals, and also offer in their pedals a variety of like attributes that you can affect and little quirky things that you can add to it to create stuff that you otherwise would never have been able to do. There's MIDI capability in a lot of these, not all of these, but they're just great pedals. So I've got the timeline. What are you holding there?
Well, I have the Deco over here and I have the Volante right here, which, all of these, we have three more back here, the Dig,
the Brigadier, and the El Capistan.
All different, all similar because they're all time-based effects.
Yep.
But each of them have kind of a special flavor. I guess the timeline would be the Mac Daddy.
The Mac Daddy. This is probably on most every worship guitar player's board that can afford it. It's not an inexpensive pedal, but do you know, just my personal story, before I got one, I pined for one for a long, long time. And I went through and I did the research and I talked about some of what we'll talk about today, which is if I got something over here, what would I miss out on? And would this cover everything that I could get from the other pedals? Spoiler, it doesn't. And trying to find the happy medium. But hopefully my goal today is I want us to kind of go through these. You've done some amazing demos with them because I want to give you guys an idea of what they are, who they are best suited for, what you do get in this one that's covered in the other ones, what you don't. That's true of the Volante and the El Capistan as well, since they are both very similar pedals. We'll start with the Mac Daddy. So the timeline really is a very powerful DSP delay that covers everything from digital delays to tape-based delays. It has a built-in looper, allows for MIDI controls as well. Just the types, okay? Ice, duck, swell, trem, filter, lo-fi, D-tape, D-bucket, digital, dual pattern, reverse. That's a lot of different delay types in a single pedal. And the controls that you have, value, time, repeats, mix, filter, grit, speed, and depth, allows you to take any of the presets. There's 99 presets in this thing and really adapt it to your own needs. Now, I was telling Cooper, and admittedly, this kind of pains me sometimes, there's 6 presets that I've tweaked to my own use that I use on this pedal all the time. Out of 99, I'm bummed that I typically only use 6, and that's just because there's so much to discover on this pedal. And what I've been wanting to do is hook it up via MIDI and really utilize their editing tool to kind of craft more, reorder stuff, and get more use out of this. But it's a pedal that I at this point would not have on my pedal board. But that being said, as powerful as this is, it doesn't have everything in it. And that was one of the things that I had to learn, kind of make my peace with early on. So we'll talk about that a little bit more when we discuss some of the other ones. But you've got a really tried and true, kind of almost always on. Yeah. And then one of the newest things that they've introduced that's incredibly cool.
Yeah, so I'll talk about the Volante first. Its subtitle is Magnetic Echo Machine, and it has so many sounds of like really cool old school tape echo, studio, kind of reel-to-reel type stuff. Again, very tweakable sounds. This one does not have like the preset bay. However, you can save favorite preset. And, you'll see on the demos that some of these I've messed around with. This one especially, I've played the timeline and, I've messed around with the El Capistan a couple times before. This you can see me try to figure out in real time, which is, some people might dig the sounds I got and some might not, but there's so much going on here with these little buttons of like your playback and the feedback that you can get. All of these have special flavors, but this one, it might be the one that I think maybe fits my sound the best. I love the Deco, but it's kind of similar in terms of like the warm, tapey kind of
tape
stuff.
Saturation sounds that you get.
I really like this one. The Deco, on the other hand, we're using mine because these are so fresh out of the box.
Yeah, we don't have any stock of the Deco right now.
Yeah, still receiving from Strymon as we speak, but I have this one at home. This is probably the loosest definition of delay of all of these, but it still does have, it's kind of this 2-channel setup. This side is tape saturation, so you get really nice kind of transparent overdrive that you can push, and it's just really pretty sounding.
And you leave that on, don't
I
you?
leave that on like all the time. I do pretty modest, tape saturation and volume just kind of where.
If you've been looking for like that kind of vintage warm overdrive and struggle to get that from pedals or from your amp, this is oftentimes the missing ingredient for that. Yeah,
this is the one for sure. And then the other side is the double tracker. So the Deco is really the saturation double tracker, tape sound 1970s machine. But with this lag time knob, if you're like at Unity, you're just adding like very almost hard to notice like double track, and then as you move this around, it moves from like a chorus to a flange to slapback to tape echo, just based on how much you're lagging the tape reproduction. And you got a wobble knob that kind of adds somewhat of a modulation kind of vibe. But you can hear in the demos, I just kind of dialed in a few sounds that I like. You can like invert the tape deck, send it out of phase. It's just really cool sounds. So this one's awesome. I want to talk about the one that surprised me the most that I really loved, which was the Dig. I don't know if you've ever messed around with that one.
Briefly, and I love digital delays.
Yeah.
This dual digital delay that the Dig is, had a lot of things I was looking at other delays before I ended up on the timeline. And not everything that this does is available in the timeline. So I'm curious what surprised you the most and whether or not it's in this guy.
So like I said, there are some of these that I've played with before, some I was figuring them out in real time. The Dig was one that I was figuring out in real time, and if you buy a Strymon pedal or go online, they kind of have recipes. Mm-hmm. They'll show you kind of basically like a patch that you can dial in and what sound it's making. So one that I'm trying to think, I think it was Dotted 80s. Mm-hmm. It was like a very, 80s kind of vibe. But it's like this, since it's dual, it's like you get like a quarter note and then like a dotted eighth or something. So it's easy to think of.
There's this cool rhythmic complexity that it's like a driving sound that you can get out of it.
Yeah, it's easy to think of the edge with that kind of vibe. But even just changing from the edge type chord chugging to individual notes and letting them build on each other, it makes a whole atmosphere that really blew my mind. So I really liked that one.
The thing that you didn't do in the demo, because all of these can be hooked up with stereo.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that become more and more common on pedals. I think Strymon was one of the first ones to really start doing that.
Yeah.
And they can be set up with MIDI controlling and just really forward thinking. But this one, because it's dual and it can be stereo, can ping pong.
Yeah.
So if you set up multiple amps, it's a very, very cool sound to have out of this. And this also has the golden ratio setting. Did you mess with that in the demo?
I messed through all these type knobs, but
so the golden ratio, we're getting to Fibonacci math here, but basically the way they've designed this in the dig is that you can have repeats that never step on another repeat, and so you have these really long trailing delays that are syncopated and kind of separating themselves, and it can be extremely atmospheric. Very, very cool sounds.
Yeah, I really like this one. Surprised me the most because this isn't the one that you hear about all the time, you know. Also, speaking of, so there's the stereo outs. I know for sure on the Deco, and I'm pretty sure for most of their pedals, there are like secondary functions when you're running stereo, right?
Yeah.
So I know on the Deco, one of the knobs when you're running stereo can become like a stereo spreader. Yeah. Very cool.
Giving a huge sound.
Yeah, so which of this one is available on, say, the timeline that you've gotten?
You know, this is a dual digital delay. There's some effects that are from the dig that are on here, and it's the digital, the dual digital pattern would be the closest to the dig, but you don't get the golden ratio. You don't get some of the other ones on there. The Brigadier, which we'll talk about, which is a bucket brigade one, is available pretty much everything on there under the D bucket. This one is a tape delay. So this and the Volante, which is newer, are very, very similar pedals. And this is kind of probably becoming one of the most often asked questions on the internet. Should you get the Capistan? Should you get the Volante? For the way that I play, early on, it was a question of should I get the Capistan or should I get the timeline? Now the timeline does have a tape setting, which I use a lot. I tend to use that and the bucket brigade settings because I love the tone that you get out of it. But you don't get all of the nuanced control for the various types of like multi-head or sliding or single head tape delays that the Capistan offers on the timeline. So if you're wanting to get kind of in the weeds, so to speak, and really tweak or you listen to the demos that are offered on the Capistan and you're like, I really like that sliding tape head sound, you can't replicate that on here. Yeah. This is a more tape-focused delay. That's kind of what all the smaller boxes are about. The Volante is really a more complicated Capistan.
Yeah, which is cool. It's more intimidating for me just jumping in.
Well, and that's, I think, something that people watching this video probably should take away. The bigger pedals are more intimidating, period. We had a coworker buy one of these. He's already intimidated. It's okay. We've all been there. Yeah. Take your time. Work through it. Don't be a chump. No, I'm just kidding. Love you, John. So, it's more complicated. It's more intimidating. There's more to work through. Same thing with the Volante. Yeah. But you have a lot of tweakability. So if you're wanting that, if you're wanting to make all of those various adjustments, then that is what you should get. If you're not, if you like a more focused pedal or there's just certain sounds that you want, then the Capistan might be the better pedal for you. There's guys who have bought Volantes that had Capistans and went back to using the Capistan.
I can see that.
Yeah, because if they had that one or two sounds that they used and that's all they really needed, the plethora of options wasn't necessary. Yeah. There's other guys though that just love the tweakability and some of the unique sounds that the Volante brings to the idea of it. And either one of these, by the way, is just amazing because we've talked to Gary. Yeah. We've spent time talking to Gary about studio tape machines back in the day and the stuff he even has still. Yeah. The fact that you can get these great sounds that he himself has said on these pedals sounds incredible. Yeah. With the adjustments on a fly, the ability to switch the types of tape machines you're potentially using.
At just
at the
tape
price and
age.
form factor. Yeah, the
It's
tape
so
age,
cool.
the crinkle. I use that on this. I'll use the grit and filter functions and introduce that crinkle onto some of the sounds, and it's a great warble that's not
so cool.
chorusy. That's fantastic.
Being able to almost like similarly on this one, the bucket loss and be able to, it's so bucket brigade delay. It's a term that I think is talked about a lot, but can you give some more insight onto that? I think I know a little bit, but
it speaks to the chip that's being used and the tone that you get out of that chip. It tends to be a warmer sound. I think the delay pedal you've used is a bucket brigade.
Carbon copy.
Yeah, and that's what I used for years and really liked the tone that you got out of that. And so it's not just kind of a warmth, but it's also kind of a breaking up that you can get from that style of chip. And what Strymon has done is taken that style of delay and just said, okay, we're going to give you a ton of functionality with this, a ton of tweakable functions and features so that you can dial in the tone that you want, kind of the gritty response from it, which is what you were just referring to. Along with the subdivisions and all of the other features that they're known for.
So like I said, I really enjoyed the dig, and it surprised me a lot. This one did too, because it gave me all the sounds that I was used to with the carbon copy, but just being able to dial it in.
More function.
Dial it in, more the minute details of every sound, which if you've played a carbon copy, I think it's the coolest pedal ever, but it's like you kind of have to balance things the right way, and if you're a little bit off and then your band starts going on a different tempo, it's not going to line up perfectly.
That was the biggest reason I moved away, actually, is trying to dial in the right tempo without having a tap.
So I think, this one, Volante, these two both have a tap. I think that's when the Deco does not have a tap, but it's because you're not doing that kind of sound. But having something that sounds just as good or better than a carbon copy, tap tempo, getting to dial in how much of that kind of analog bucket brigade warmth and kind of that falling apart sound that's so pretty, really cool. And a lot of these have this kind of mode knob that you can like subdivide easily if you're already in this tempo. Then click it to like a half note version and then whole note kind of thing. It's really cool. Really liked the ones that are a little more, a little less talked about, I guess. The Dig and the Brigadier, really cool.
Yeah, the Timeline I think tends to get most of the spotlight. And the cool thing about this pedal is it's actually like multiple pedals in one. You have all of these various different delay types. It's also a looper.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's really easy. You hold down the tap and you get into looping function. And so I used to have an X2 on my board and I got rid of it. The other function that's not talked about very much on this is the loop or the feedback loop that you can utilize, which is interesting. So you can put any kinds of effects in here, but if you put a fuzz in it, it's really weird because it'll fuzz on the repeats rather than on the initial note, which is creativity nirvana.
That's cool.
A tremolo on there is also very cool. So, that's why this being so full feature and having so much to it is why it tends to get the lion's share of attention. It's a cool pedal.
Which is fair.
I'm glad I own it. But that being said, there's been a time where I've thought several times about getting the Dig, because this doesn't cover it, or the El Capistan. Because there's certain functions you just don't get otherwise.
Well, they're all really cool. As I said before, you can watch me either immediately know what I'm going to do with this pedal or work a little bit until I can find something. The cool thing is if you're playing nice sounding things on guitar, it's not really going to make a bad sound. All of these, like just at any function, sound really cool. So,
well, we're going to see if you're telling the truth. We're going to listen to the cool right now. So put your headphones on if you have them, because that'll be very helpful for this demonstration, or listen on good speakers. Check it out. So there you have it. There's your demo. Right now, before we go any further, I want people to vote below. Is it better seeing a demo from someone who has no clue what they're doing when they jump into a pedal? I vote yes, because I think that's where we all are when we first get one.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you can find those kind of cool sweet spots of the pedals really fast if you have the pressure of people are going to be watching this on YouTube forever. So you get more pressure to find a good sound. It's like a nice test for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, with a lot of these, I kind of dialed in maybe 3, 4, or 5 just tones that I really liked. On that one, I love the ice.
Yeah.
I like the reverse and the swell and just, I mean, obviously the digital sound, the bucket sound, those are all like perfect for what they are. But the different kind of weird stuff is really cool.
I tend to, on mine, I use the lo-fi. Mm-hmm. I use the tape, the dual, and the bucket more than anything else. And I've used the pattern a few times. I pair this with a big sky, which we're not talking about reverbs, but you know, if you're going to talk about reverbs, that's an amazing pedal too. And these two paired together, it handles a lot.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah, it's a very cool pedal. I'm so, out of all the gear I have, you know, here's the funny thing. There's gear that some of us buy, and particularly with pedals. Pedals can be a hit or miss thing. You can watch so many different demos online and get it, like we're just talking about with guys with the Volante and the El Capistan, and realize, you know, it's not for you. I've bought pedals like that in the past and that I kind of liked, but it didn't work, or it turned out it didn't meet what I needed.
Yeah.
And this pedal, it's one of the best purchases I've ever made. And I'm still discovering so much more on it.
Yeah, I'm so happy that we have this stuff in now because I get to know all of it better. But if you guys have any questions, we're figuring a lot of it out at the same time, but feel free to reach out because we want to talk about them for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. And you can email us directly. I think Chris.
You can email us directly.
Yeah.
Cooper, what's your email address?
It's cooper.greenberg@alamomusic.com. Same goes for Chris. He's cooper.greenberg
Mine is also cooper.greenberg.
alamomusic.com. But yeah, talk with us on the website, email us, call us, or whatever, because more people need to have access to pedals like this because they truly are like just creativity, explosion, awesome stuff.
So takeaway, you already own the Deco. Okay?
Yeah.
Out of these other pedals, which one would you buy today? I'm giving you money.
Yeah. If I'm going to buy one, let me think about that for just a second. Do I still have the pedals that I have already?
Sure. Yeah.
So although I love this, it wouldn't be this one because I have the carbon copy, even though it's kind of a better version. Maybe.
If you didn't, would you replace your carbon copy with that?
I might do that anyway.
Yeah.
I would love to have a board with more Strymon on it. I like the L cap a lot, and I like the dig. That's kind of me saying like if it's not going to be the timeline, you know, because the timeline would probably be, if of all the stuff we have, that'd probably be the one that I would get right now out of everything because it covers the most ground.
Yeah.
And it's kind of legendary already.
Well, I think the reason I bought this, I watched so many videos. Strymon does great videos too. They have a very resourceful website, and I watched so many things. And to me, it was kind of like there's a huge value proposition here. As expensive as some people might say this pedal is, it actually is very, very affordable when you realize how much you're getting out of it.
Yeah.
I didn't need 5 different delay pedals on my pedal board.
Yeah.
And so that was a big part of it. But I'd say this for all of them, but most particularly for the Timeline, because the Timeline is a fully digital pedal with like this digital readout on it. And these knobs that can have different effect depending upon which one you're in, these like speed and depth become mod knobs depending upon which type of delay you're using. It is invaluable if you buy one to read the manual and then read it again and read it a few more times. Download it on your phone, which is what I did, and really familiarize yourself with the changes, because that's the presets are cool. The magic is in tweaking it to your own needs.
Yeah.
And same goes for all these others, is really understanding the knobs, which are a little bit more easily to understand on these others than the Timeline. Is where the magic lies.
Yeah, and each one of these pedals could have warranted its own,
video, probably
30-minute video. I mean, we'll probably dive in more. We want to kind of look at them in families to a certain extent. So the time-based stuff is fun and cool and kind of what jumped out the most. But all of these have enough content within them to really entertain you and inspire you for a long time. And like you said, you could, if you're worried about the price of a Timeline, look at your collection right now. You could probably sell 5 of those pedals and cover all the bases.
The benefit of the smaller form factor pedals is this will fit in a stocking. I'm going to tell my wife for Christmas time. So you would get not the Brigadier initially.
I'd probably, I don't know. I really like that one. I'm going to say the dig.
The dig?
I like the dig.
I would probably get the Volante.
Yeah.
Because I loved the El Capistan. I almost went with it instead. I borrowed one from a friend for weeks. I really, really liked it. And having something that's that plus some really appeals to me. So I'm going to spend some more time with the Volante.
Yeah. And in videos to come, here's like a question. We're going to run down all the Strymon stuff. Which one is best and why is it the Mobius? All right. I'm just kidding. But yeah, there's
definitely
modulation.
The coolest name right there.
Yeah, slow Mobius. No, but we get modulation to come, overdrive, reverbs. There's a lot of stuff. So stick around because we got a lot more coming. But I'm happy to do these today. It's really cool.
So if you have any questions on these, feel free to email Cooper and email me at Cooper's email address. And also visit our website at alamomusic.com, where we'll have all these listed up there with all of the specs there for you. We'll continue to break down all of these pedals in series and help you decide what should be on your pedal board. Because I always say at the end of the day, the very best pedal in the world is
The dig.
So thanks so much for watching. If you're new to our channel, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, like our videos, comment down below, tell us about your favorite Strymon pedal, what you think you might get if you don't currently own one, and we will see you next time.